Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome to Extra Gents Scents. Hope everybody out there is doing really well. What do you say we take a look at a little bit of a niche fragrance today? Goes by the name of My Gentleman from the house of Stephanie de Bruijn. Hopefully I didn't butcher that, but I may have. So maybe you've seen this fragrance. Max Aroma sent it out to a few different people, and I was one of those people. So thank you, Max Aroma, for that. In case you're unaware of Max Aroma, they're a fragrance discounter, but lately they've become more like a fragrance niche and indie retailer in the sense that they're distributing a lot of lesser known niche brands, indie brands, and also some bigger ones as well. They're kind of switching up their whole brand identity, kind of, because they started out as solely a discounter. Then as time went on, I guess they were like, hey, you know what? It'd be pretty good distributing all these brands that don't have much distribution. Maybe that would be very good for us. This is one of the brands that they carry. And like I said, we're going to take a look at it. So let's jump into it. Let's kick it off with the presentation, guys. So here is your box. It has a little slip cover over the front. You got the name of the fragrance and the house right there on the front. And it is an Essence de Parfum. Not an extrait de parfum, not an eau de parfum, not a parfum, an essence de parfum. On the back, you have information about the fragrance, including the note breakdown. On the bottom, you have your batch code 4916. The slip cover comes right off, and then the bottle sits right inside there, little foam cutout. Here's the bottle. Not too much going on there. Got a sticker on the front with the name of the house, name of the fragrance, and then the cap has a nice little ribbon around it. Looks like a stock cap and a stock bottle. And then on the bottom, you have a sticker with your batch code. Atomizer on this one's pretty good. Let me blast a couple sprays for you guys. There we go, nice atomization. This fragrance has one of my absolute favorite things of all time, which is actually not one of my favorite things at all, but it's one of my most frustrating things of all time. And that is when you spray a fragrance on and you know immediately I have smelled this fragrance or something close to it many times in the past. Like it's firing synapses in your brain where you know immediately, yes, I have smelled that before. And then as you go through the indexes of your brain looking for that fragrance, trying to remember, oh, which one is it? Which one is it? It just comes up empty. It's like that episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where he can't find the thing in his brain that he's looking for, and it just turns into a 5-alarm fire. Just everything is going haywire. That's what it's like for me, only about a fragrance instead of a Krabby Patty or whatever it was. So yeah, when I smell this, I know right away I have smelled this fragrance or something very similar to it many times. And it could just be the style of fragrance that this is, but after dinking around with different fragrances, I think I've got a decent handle on what it reminds me of. So the name My Gentleman makes sense. When you spray this fragrance on, it's very gentlemanly. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but that's what it is. It's got a big burst of lavender pretty much right away. The lavender here is going to remind you of those classy, kind of grown-up, sophisticated fragrances from decades gone by. It's not at all the type of lavender that you're going to find in most men's fragrances nowadays, where the fragrances are very fresh and blue and hyper-versatile. You know, it's not that type of lavender. This is more of that formal occasion, suit and tie kind of lavender. Harkening back to fragrances from the 80s, only with more of a sophisticated twinge to this one. You also have galbanum in the opening, so you're going to have a little bit of a green touch to the edges of the fragrances. Tarragon in the mid as well, going to give you an additional green tinge. You have a little bit of citrus in the opening, but not too much. Bits of lemon, bits of bergamot, but this is never a fragrance centered around citrus. Not even in the opening does it really center or care about that citrus all that much. Instead, it's just there to lead you into that lavender, which is going to dominate most of this scent. You have woodiness in here as the fragrance dries down, specifically sandalwood and cedar. And the way that it's done here, again, is going to remind you a little bit of fragrances from years gone by, only just like with the lavender, it's modernized, I guess you could say. And by that, I mean the edges have been smoothed out, almost like you're in woodworking class and you've routed those edges and made them look nice and smooth instead of potentially a little bit aggressive. You have a little bit of a sweet warmth in the base, kind of an ambery labdanum feeling as the fragrance dries, but really that woodiness is going to be what's most prominent, mixing together with remnants of the lavender from the opening in the mid. And as I said, I knew pretty much right away that I had smelled fragrances like this. The first place that my mind went, the very first thing I thought of was Platinum Egoiste from Chanel. It's kind of that style, but really putting it next to each other, the Platinum Egoiste and My Gentleman. Not super close. I will say I took a quick look at Fragrantica on this one. I saw that some people had said it smelled similar to Bleu de Chanel Parfum and Chanel Allure Homme. It doesn't smell like either at all. So don't expect that. You're not going to find this here. It is not remotely close enough that I would say My Gentleman smells like either of those. So then the next place that my mind went, got me a bit closer, was this one, Bois du Portugal from Creed. But Bois du Portugal ends up being much woodier than My Gentleman does. So the woodiness here really kind of elevates and takes over the fragrance as it dries down, whereas this one stays centered around that lavender for the most part. But then I got to thinking a little bit and it led me to this one, Lalique Pour Homme. And now we're getting somewhere. So My Gentleman with the lavender in here, it has, like I said before, that bit of sweetness underneath everything. Little touch of that labdanum, that ambery sort of warmth. You're gonna find that here underneath everything, kind of supporting the woods, supporting the lavender. And that starts to bring it in line a little bit more with the Lalique. You spray them on side by side. Again, it's not the exact same, but you're getting pretty close. And then that took me to the final fragrance, Davidoff Zeno. Now, it's not the same as this one either, but it shares similarities. And I would say, in a way, and we are kind of playing around here a little bit, it doesn't smell exactly like this, but in a way, My Gentleman is like a mix of sorts, like a niche mix of this and this. Like they had sort of a little baby and then you gave it a higher quality upbringing and then it's this. Again, it's not exactly that. It's not a 50-50 of these two fragrances or anything, but it's close enough that when I smell My Gentleman, I'm reminded a bit of these two fragrances. Close enough that I would say, yeah, they're definitely in the same family. And if they're not first cousins, they're second cousins. And My Gentleman is the type of fragrance that I like. I really enjoy these kind of throwback style fragrances. I mean, of course, I've got a crap ton of scents from the 80s and discontinued fragrances and all kinds of stuff like that. Some of those that I'll feature on this channel more as time goes. What I'm trying to say is I like fragrances like that. I'm the type of person that this would appeal to. That said, I know probably the majority of people that are out there buying fragrances right now not really looking for something like My Gentleman because it's definitely a throwback style of fragrance, even if the fragrance itself is not technically all that old. So it's an interesting scent in the way that when people smell it, they'll definitely think, yeah, that person probably has money, they have it going on, they're classy, they're sophisticated, whatever kind of adjectives, descriptors you want to throw in there. They'll think that. Yeah, sure. Much in the same way they would think that if you're wearing Lalique Pour Homme, or the Davidoff, or the Creed, or the Chanel, all these really. So what it really comes to, I guess, is it worth $215 at full retail? For me, no, it's not, because the Lalique is cheap. The Davidoff is cheap. The Chanel is not really cheap, but it's cheaper than this one. And truth be told, I would rather buy the Lalique or the Davidoff at, $25, $30, 10% around about the cost of what My Gentleman is, and then wear that if I'm looking for that style of fragrance. And if I wanted to go up a little bit, buy the Chanel or a similar style of fragrance, something like that. Now, of course, this one does smell higher quality overall than the Lalique, higher quality than the Davidoff, but does it smell 10 times higher quality? No. So this is going to be one of those circumstances where I tell you guys, I like the fragrance, like it a lot, actually a whole lot. I think it smells really good. It's a particular niche of person that's going to like this fragrance, very particular niche. middle-aged guys and older that appreciate fragrances that are very lavender forward in a more throwback, classy style, who are going to be okay with paying a premium to get the fragrance, knowing that it's a little bit smoother, a little bit more well done than some of the other cheapies out there that accomplish pretty much the same thing. The number of people that are gonna really go for this one, you know, it keeps shrinking when you keep adding in all these other qualifiers to it. So I think for the overwhelming majority of people out there, it's not going to be worth the money. For a small number of people out there, it absolutely will. But you're going to have to love this type of scent. You're going to have that extra money that you don't mind throwing away, you know, all that stuff. In terms of when you'd wear this, it's going to be more spring and fall time fragrance. And really, I'd probably go winter over summer with this one. It would just sit on you kind of heavily, I'm saying, if it was middle of summer. But yeah, spring, fall, I think you can pull it off daytime or nighttime, either one. Versatility is actually pretty good because you can wear this casually if you wanted to, even though it does lean formally. And with it leaning a formal type of scent, you can wear it formally. Surprise. It's office safe as well, I'd say. So pretty good versatility overall. So there we go, my gentlemen. It's a fragrance that I think smells very nice, very pleasant. The problem is going to be the competition that you can get for much, much less. If you don't mind the price point, if that doesn't intimidate you at all for this style of fragrance, absolutely worth checking out. Otherwise, you're going to do probably just as well with some of the others that I mentioned. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I'm going to head out. If you smelled this, let me know what you think about it. Thanks for hanging with me, and I'll see you guys again with another fragrance video. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourself. See you guys.